Friends, today we're gonna make Japanese tattoo, but I'm not a Japanese oriental artist. I make everything a little bit more new schoolish, and due to the fact that Japanese content is not enough to swear by, I'll try to show you my approach and vision of those tattoos and design, and to do that clear and unusual. At least to show what is usually done with those Japanese sleeves, from their things like waves to my own gems. And you know, there are some certain Japanese things, and I'll show you those. I'm going to make a fish, but not usual. It's gonna be aggressive and with a dragon, with some horns mixed with the chops, cause it's too boring to do just a dragon or a fish. I made those so many times before. So I very like to do fish, but I did that too many times before, so it will be a mix. We have Sergey, and he wants to have a half of sleeve. That is quite good, because today that would be much easier and quicker to explain, and also he wants that to be on his chest as well. So our workplace consists of this area, and I think I'm not going to make that lower than a nipple and end this up here. As I remember, Japanese usually have center empty, so I'll end this tattoo near the chest center. So we'll have all this tattoo etched and ended near the joint, somewhere here, like that. For this moment we had our idea in two varieties. The first is that we do this koi like that, to have his head somewhere here, to go out, to go down, and fill all this with the flower. And the second is that we are connecting all joint with the chest, with the kois to his head, to be here, and the body is covering the arm, and here would be the flower. Sergey has chosen this variant, and also I did, because it's more profitable, because these two parts won't be cut when I usually do that on the chest. Chest is separated and arm is separated. They're connected with the background to be all in one. That's where it's much cooler when we have all elbows, folds and joints connected, but whole picture, and didn't cut on sub parts all these parts. So we are picking the variant with the chest and flower. He will do something like lotos, but I'll think about that later. The flower is not a problem. How I usually do when I need to draw something. I often draw some freehand stuff right on skin, but due to the fact that now it's gonna be a little more detailed, the carp's forms are curved, I'll make an arc for koi to be seen from two planes, his belly and back part of his back, because he's turned out. That is more difficult. Moreover, his face is gonna be different with those fangs and horns. I'll draw his head on a paper, then move that here, and will adapt his body to shoulders anatomy. Because it's impossible to draw something on a plane like paper and transfer that here, because we have not plane surface here. We have something like cylinder transporting to sphere, so you cannot stick that all in one here. You might try to do that partly, but you won't save much time. And background, I always do background freehand, because you can adapt. You can see here the biceps is cycled and has no beginning and no end, is connected and continue to infinity, so you can transfer that way. But you can do that partly, but that won't work, so I'm going to draw all that stuff manually. Draw waves, I'll show you how I do that. There are some secret tips. By the way, a lot of people are interested in waves, so that's the moment to show and explain that. There's not many of them, so I won't do that long. So let's draw. I weight roughly the carp size, because that's simpler to understand the real size and need to detail him more or less, and then I'll make the transfer right with this drawing without printing or picking the scale. That will save about 15 useful minutes, but why no? 15 minutes here or there, we'll have more time for our tattoo. Okay, this is the head I want to see. I need to explain you something. We have those jaws, looks like dragons, more aggressive than fish's one, because fish's mouth is quite simple. So we have that fish mouth and head, but we don't need that form. We move our jaws a little bit further, is more opened. We have teeth here, horns, something like Bristol, you know, dragons have bird, mustache, brows, and moreover, not like fur, like spikes. It should be less streamlined, not like fish, should be fractured, aggressive. and dragon as well as fish have squam, so there won't be any problems with the body. And those legs, dragon's legs, we won't use them because it would be something like amphibian, but we need that to be fish. So here will be a fin. It will be damaged and sharp to be more aggressive, and upper fin here. So it's more like fish with its body and more like dragon with its face. So relax, arm down, head up. Here I decided not to draw much. I think it won't fit, but if it will, that will be good. Okay, looks good. Well, here we have some free space for background because I don't want here to be ended by face. I want it to be ended by background because there is a trick. If you want tattoo to be good, you don't need to end your tattoo with object everywhere. Maybe we can end this here with the fish's body, and here it will be with the background, so it will be much better. So here's the trick. If you want your tattoo to be good, you need to change and mix all those parts. Oh, here's one moment. As I explained to you before, human's arm has this ligament here, so we can determine this diagonal to know how to do the tattoo, like here or like that. So, and now it's here you can see the benefit that fish's body will be connected with diagonal and it will look good all on this diagonal with those waves and overall dynamics. So this is not really good when you cross all those parts together. Body here, face here, it visually doesn't look good. So we did that already. What I like in those fishes mostly, this is face, is the most informative. It should be placed on a visible plane surface to see that. So secondly, it fins. Because you know, body is not very informative. I don't like to do that fully because it's not very informative when you begin to do the squama and it goes around. So, and nothing changes. Maybe you add some shadow, maybe some lights, but it not very additional information. But the only information it gives us is that fish is cylindric. So the most thing I like is to do fins on a foreground here and there. So it should be detailed with stripes, with a lot of colors. Never do that in one. It's really important for me. So we have that here, that it fin goes here, the central fin here on the back, and it goes here. So I'll cut this tail because it's not really good. You know, it's stupid to make the whole fish because the fish should interact with the water, like jump in or jump out, or those fins stick out of the water. If you make just, you know, fish and water under it, it will be stupid, like you did a dumb thing and made a fish and thought, I should do those waves. So I'll cut it here, like this fish jump out from the water and turn out. It will be fucking awesome. You know, I want to do those fins more unusual, for them not to be like to be fabulous, maybe not to be so boring and usual, to be more detailed. I want to make a line here and maybe make them quite longer. By the way, it's very comfortable to use that brush, not hard marker but soft brush, and you can do all those smooth lines without any efforts. It saves you time, especially when you're used to it. Okay, now I'm going to make the main wave that will be on a foreground and will be highlighted with a bold outline, and behind of it will be the flower, because I wanted to do fish with a flower to be auxiliary, for waves not to look boring. Only waves it's boring and not enough. Oh, as I noticed before, here we have a muscle where I align all those waves. It begins here, bends here, and in this twist, all those fluffy fans will be spread out. As I usually do, I take some part like that, where a big amount of them, and begin to open. Because if brush is very soft, it's very comfortable to do that.
Раз.
Maybe now it looks so easy and simple for you, but when you take that brush and do that, Actually, it isn't so. When I do all those waves, I have a rule not to have a fence from those waves, not to have sequential lines which is parallel like that. Even when they are dynamic, they should be opened. Like when you draw the sun, all its beams go at different size and make some movement. So also we do with the waves. Each wave has its own degree, and you should catch the degree for them to look all in one like a fan. So because of it, there will be some additional dynamics. So if you do something straight, it looks static. So the second thing is that you shouldn't do the same thing. To avoid this fence, you shouldn't repeat the form. If you have one long wave with a short one under it and then thickening, so the next one should be a little longer with two short under it. So we have thickening here on right. For example, here is short and here is long, so they looks different. So the nature doesn't have anything the same. It never makes something the same like splashes. So you should do every wave different. So you can do the same wave. After 2 or 3, it wouldn't be repeat. It could be the same, but it should be randomly and shouldn't be alike. Like, you know, one wave to different, one wave to different. They have to be mixed and be different. It will be interesting for an eye and won't cycle. You know, the same thing with squama. It's a problem that it's equal in cycled. You have one squama, 2 from above, 1 between, 2 from above, 1 between, and to infinity. You know, it's underscore somewhere squeezed, somewhere open to be clean. That belly is bent and back is unbent, but it's not enough. Homogeneous, if I can say so, and it's not very beautiful because our eye quite quickly understand what's going on and won't look through in it. Much more interesting dynamic moments which underscore each other. I mean, this wave which has diagonal on a hand and fish's bag diagonal, they will look good together. They will overflow and make an homogeneous mass. Will look dynamic and quite interesting even from a distance. So that doesn't mean that you don't fuck with it. I work and work over on it. I don't color it, you know, outline in one color and then all over. But I do squam in several colors, but I'll show that later. But I don't cut this hand just with a line. I can mark it, but it's kinda edge, what I'm trying not to go out. Here, for example, I usually do, you know, Japanese leaves ending with ribs. Not just that, but it's the plot. We have a wave going down here under itself and give a rib, you know. Then, you know, here I'm catching this wave intensity and make it like edge and rib in the end. Here the same thing, you know, we're here going a wave, he's curving, and here will be someone else. But between those will be nothing. Will be clean skin that will go in from this clean to color with gradient. These moments are very important. They don't give a feeling that hand is cut. They visually give a feeling that from unpainted skin it flows into the picture, so it's more smooth from tattoo to clean skin. So don't you cut the dump. It's bad, boring, not beautiful. So some gems, forms flow into some elements like I have here from clean skin going to the picture. They don't let ideologically cut the two roughly. So you should remember all those gems and combine them. Don't you use only one if you know several. Like in my case, we use clean skin, transfer into the picture, plus contingently cutting those parts on ends. You know, this wave is only interesting that I need, that I will leave, and now we'll outline it in black. Stay as it right now, but other we will freehand in the future. Now we have to decide what flower it will be, but right after the flower we'll understand how much free space we'll have for. So if I draw them, they will interrupt the flower. I have to delete them. You may think that I draw them for nothing. If something went wrong, I always can take a small paper with an alcohol and delete it. Okay, a little more relaxed for me to be able to reach. Okay, a little bit lower. More. Okay, so why I do so? Because when he just stand and chatting with someone, how it will look like. Nobody goes like that. So I have to understand where is that edge where I have to put those lucky moments. So you know why I like this flower? Because you know lotuses are classical like. I fed up as shit with those. So I don't like golden daisies. They have too long sticks. It's not very beautiful when you string them somewhere here. Like one petal is tear out and you know he's flying on waves. But this flower is very dope. You can tear out those petals and string them somewhere here far away and fill those places where we have some spot. It's good but monotonous. You can add this petal in those waves. It's colored, they're gray, so it's something good on the foreground. So next we can draw those waves. With those we will try to cut this picture not straight, so we won't do that with petal tips. So what do you think if one petal will be lower than... Okay, good. Okay, the main level will drop. What's the point? We have a background upper than background is cut, then any object that goes down lower than its level, so that object always jump at you. But it's benefit for us because those waves should be deeper than its petal. So we showed that perspective one more time. I'll make a line on all flower, but although I see all those transfer outlines, so it would be like air going under this big petal, but he's under those as well. It's clear that its petal is closer because that thing cannot close this thing. And you understand that it's closer than those. This airflow goes under that one, and under that one. No, this petal I won't take. I won't take that one. He goes further. Okay, another layered object. Is, you know, minus of freehand that I have to draw a lot. Is not so productive, but finally everything is so fit to your body when you draw this, drawn this on a paper before, so you won't get this result. So when you do all details, it's much better. So I'll have to add some waves and begin to outline. So we get what I was talking about. Here, the part where we have a lot of space for background. So I can do here waves. He's not that huge, but it would be cooler if I'll add a petal. A petal from the lotus will be will look good here because those tints. He has internal orange and outside side is red. And when it turns out, you can see red piece and orange. When you see that piece here, you understand that it's from there. That is a piece of leaf or flower. Is some kind of completely story that something is flows from there. Flying, you have waves. When fish is goes out, the water and flower is flying away. You can call it as you want. One thing that I have to notice, a little recommendation, if you don't want to draw that piece here in center, I wanted to show you this petal, if it's flying from something or covering something. It would be good if he will under this fin, like that. I'll try to circle it for you to be good. Okay, one more corner. Okay, we have the dynamic that waves are opening, and we can do those waves here to dynamic be more opened, like, you know, jumped out. So I have a plan to scratch him with the 3 So I'm a little worrying about what was painted, because marker is dying, you know, when you tone them. After those scratches, I will do that wider or thinner. So the main thing is to fix, and we'll have all this half of a sleeve right here marked and fixed. You know, I take just usual black color and do that quite quickly. Visible line. So because of we doing that quickly, it doesn't actually injure the skin. So I want to repeat some lines when I want to do that wider or more dynamic, from wideness to thickness. Friends, today we decided to film another day, not to limit ourselves with one, should be two. So just outlines is not interesting. So we decided to explain another day when I'm going to paint those, fill it. So the main thing I'm interested in is waves, because today is background day, so I'll explain it where I choose dark or light tints. So I colored the background, down part of the background, and a good piece. So nothing special, but the most interesting moment is on the foreground. You know, for showing coloring a big piece of wave, she's the most on the front and the biggest one. So I'm coming to the moment from the size of coloring this wave. So the firstly you have to understand that the wave should be very, very bright, contrasting with something white, because you know in nature something splash of water or foam is like contrasting with white, so it's not realism for you to understand, for our brain to understand what's going on about water. So the only thing we use is smooth water dynamic, cold tints, and everything will be detailed, deepness and splashes, with the deepness something dark, on splashes something light. So everything is like associative ability to understand what it is about waves. So you can easily see that in classical Japanese too, they do the same. So this is the moment, that rare moment when I think acceptable to remain, to leave, you know, you shading something with the tint of the color you were shading, and the main thing is in clean skin. I think it's like hack work and shouldn't be so. If you'll color it more careful, you know, detailed and lighter, it will work good. So it's some kind of tale to some Japan, you know, things to one more time give you the feeling of this traditional classical, not contuned as the new school. So all those things with waves are really good for me to use, because you know, trying to pull all something more classical than new school and modern, you know, there will be more than enough something more than you. I mean, exactly the fish. It will be more detailed and more dynamic. Not that flat and simple as usual Japan. So the thing about the waves, everything outlined in different sizes. So outline here 15 eras, 7 liner, and 3 for little things that from yesterday. So don't look on it. Oh, it's swelled, so it's not important now. So those front waves in the future are always white. In all works you can see that I leave a lot of skin, so that's completed. And next time I'm going to form every that point, you know, splash. It's quite easy. I'll choose, you know, the nearest to the brightest tint, but not the most, it may be second or third. So it's the most bright, darker, to very dark, and about black and the black. Okay, you can see all those. That not to be seen between two those. So, you know, but on waves I work with 3 of those. So, you know, when I do the shadow on a wave, I don't make that with that bright. I do that or that one, or maybe both. Oh, good. And then I just highlight, you know, with those arcs, which help us to, you know, to highlight the tip on a wave, to color it, then to write to clean skin. Here the same, and on each of those corners I'm adding this kind of shadow under the water. Whenever each corner, I'm adding some kind of shadow under the water to highlight that bended tips form. So that is much more profitable and useful to do that with Magnum because it's much easier to spread with that wideness, you know. I won't do that with the rest. So sometimes it really fits with the width. So I have the same width that I have here we had on Magnum, so it's really useful to do that in one line. Okay, sometimes I use brighter tints to wide all those shadows. Because if you take something black as we have here and trying to stretch it to the soft gradient to clean skin, it will be quite difficult because on dark tints, every mistake out of softness of this gradient will be visible if we take some really bright color and trying to do that on what you had, and then on clean skin, all those spreads will on white tints, they are not very visible, they are not really contrast as the black one. So another moment I wanted to tell you about is that not to use empty spaces like now we do. We have a wave and those tips will be just empty. And empty skin, works good when we have all around it colored here. Only then that white skin will look like another color that intentionally here or not just unfinished detail. So if you have outline here bordering this empty space, it will border other empty space like here. We just uncolor it here. So you will have a dumb vision that you unfinished this part. It won't look like you didn't think it over. So and you wanted to color it in the future. So don't forget, if you have a picture here using something like that thing here, so this is end, nothing but empty space, it won't work. So if you have, like here we have the wave, for example, like stream here, won't cut this sharp and empty because it won't be beautiful. I always stretch it to the gradient that will work good. So we have an idea here, skin flowing to the tattoo, for here not to be some kind of sharp edge or border. So with the waves, that object that is not colored is better to be placed somewhere in center. So the only thing I wanted to tell you and show this planning. So the wave that I have here is much darker than I had. I decided to put somewhat more white skin here, and other waves are more and more darker and darker. But it doesn't actually has that. I colored it in gray, so something much deeper. So, like in deepness between the wave and the fish, it's really, really black. So we have it here, and splash is not visible, So we have another thing here that we can visually show you, that we've closed everything unpainted. You can see that it looks really good, and all empty parts looks like as we thought about them before. So the colored is okay. When you open it, the eyes always see that unpainted colors, and he looks like it's unfinished, but while we have the tattoo, it will look really good and adequate. Okay, so I have a lot of examples with those Japanese leaves where the same stuff looks really good and organic without any feeling that you have to paint it and finish. So you shouldn't shy about that, and you can always shade over it, and if you don't like it, you can do that. You can add some background if you want on the next session, so it's not a problem to do that later. So this is quite a long video, so we'll continue without filming. Okay, so thank you for the watching, and I want you to subscribe on this channel. So there are a lot of useful information on my channel, so a lot of different interesting comment. Okay, leave your comments here down below. Thank you for watching.
Пока.